Higher letter code genetic time codes. There are 12 dormant gene codes in the human DNA corresponding to 12 of the 15 star crystals, are individually referred to as genetic time codes, codes of transmutation, or fire codes. Collectively, the 12 fire codes are known as the silicate matrix or the crystal gene. This is the original gene construction of the human organism. Each DNA strand represents a fire letter code, scalar wave program sequence corresponding to one-dimensional frequency band of consciousness energy. These dormant gene codes allow for the separate DNA strands to plug into each other, a condition necessary for cellular transmutation. The 12 dormant DNA codes corresponds to 12 star crystal seals, and each code carries the frequency and light spectrum contained within the star crystal seal. Through distortions within the DNA seed codes, the fire codes of the silicate matrix break down and no longer function. Without operational fire codes, the body becomes locked within its dimensional space-time location. The fire codes of the silicate matrix are restored to function through correcting distortions within the DNA seed codes. As the seed codes are repaired, the fire codes reassemble. The process of assembling DNA strands by working with higher chakras is a process of bringing frequency from the stellar spirals into the star crystal seals. There is an intimate relationship between the seed crystal seals, the star crystal seals, and human DNA. Each seed crystal corresponds directly to and controls the basic function of one strand of DNA. The foundations of human DNA are minute templates of crystallized frequency, electronal sound patterns, and electromagnetic light spectrum that magnetically group into crystalline form. These minute multidimensional crystalline templates are referred to as DNA seed codes. Of the 15 seed crystal seals within the bioenergetic body of the human, 12 seed crystal seals govern the function of the DNA seed codes within the 12-strand DNA imprint. One seed crystal seal directs the seed code of one strand of DNA. The star crystal seals of the bioenergetic body also corresponds to the DNA. Within the morphogenetic imprint of the human DNA, there are dormant gene codes that correspond to the star crystal seals. As long as the star crystal seals are not activated, these gene codes will remain dormant. Each star crystal seal is composed of half of the frequency patterns of the dimension above it and half of those from the dimension below. There are 12 dormant DNA codes corresponding to 12 star crystal seals, and each code carries the frequency and light spectra contained within the star crystal seal. These dormant gene codes allow for the separate DNA strands to plug into each other, a condition necessary for cellular transmission. The 12 dormant gene codes corresponding to the 12 of the 15 star crystal seals are individually referred to as the genetic time codes, codes of transmutation, or fire codes. Collectively, the 12 codes are known as the silicate matrix or the crystal gene. This is the original gene construction of the human organism. Due to various genetic mutations, a very small percentage of humans presently carry the entire silicate matrix in their personal morphogenetic imprint for the DNA. Through distortions within the DNA seed codes, the imprint for the DNA. Through distortions within the DNA seed codes, the fire codes of the silicate matrix break down and can no longer function. And without the functional silicate matrix, the star crystal seals of the bioenergetic body cannot activate, and thus the body cannot achieve cellular transmutation. Without the operational fire codes, the body becomes locked within its dimensional space-time station. The fire codes of the silicate matrix are restored to function through correcting distortions within the DNA seed codes. As the seed codes are repaired, the fire codes reassemble. During the upcoming ascension period and through the birth of the 6 silent ascension avatars who will realign the DNA imprint, the distorted DNA seed codes will be corrected in the race morphogenetic field, making it possible for large numbers of people to reverse mutate their DNA strands. This reverse mutation will allow for the fire codes of the silicate matrix to begin reassembly in the people who do not carry this imprint, restoring the body's ability to activate the star crystal seals and achieve cellular transmutation. This process will not take place automatically. It requires conscious participation to prepare the body for these changes. The higher self and soul level aspect of personal identity will do much of the work, but the choice of the conscious personality will have great bearing upon the outcome of these multidimensional processes. Every thought and activity will either assist the higher self in preparing for these changes or detract from its efforts to do so. DNA 101. Definitions. Seed crystal seals. Minute crystalline frequency seals within each chakra and auric field level of the 15-dimensional human bioenergetic field that keeps particles and antiparticles in one dimension separated from each other. Each seed crystal seal corresponds to the frequency band of one dimension and directs the function of one DNA strand that corresponds to that dimension. One seed crystal seal separates the particle and antiparticle units of the DNA strand, keeping the body's particle base polarized and locked into that dimensional band. The separation of particle and antiparticle caused by the seed crystal seal keeps the body's particles base locked into the time continuum and particle pulsation rhythm characteristic to that dimension. The seed crystal seals control particle pulsation rhythm, keeping it consistent with the pulsation rhythm of the dimensional band in which the seed crystal is located. The seed crystal seals control the speed at which the dimensional Merkaba fields spin. Release of a seed crystal seal allows the particle and antiparticles of one dimension to fuse to accelerate in pulsation rhythm, causing the dimensional Merkaba fields to accelerate in its speed of rotation. When the body's particles in one dimension fuse and accelerate, and the rotation speed of the Merkaba field increases, the star crystal seal between that dimensional band and the dimensional band above releases. Seed crystal seals are considered horizontal seals, as they control the horizontal movement of the frequency band, light spectra, and particles in one dimension. There are 9 seed crystal seals located at the center of 9 primary chakras within the structure of the physical body, and 6 located at the center of chakra centers outside of the physical body, for a total of 15 seed crystal seals within the design of a multidimensional human anatomy. DNA seed codes, base codes, and acceleration codes, units of minute crystalline frequency that form the morphogenetic template for DNA strands. The template for one DNA strand is composed of 12 magnetic particle units and 12 electrical antiparticle units. The 12 magnetic particle units are called the base code. The 12 electrical antiparticle units are called acceleration codes. Each DNA strand is composed of the frequency patterns and light spectra of one-dimensional band. All aspects of human DNA are built upon this morphogenetic template of a 12 base code and 12 acceleration codes. The DNA base codes in one DNA strand represents the 12 magnetic base tone frequencies of one dimension that corresponds to that strand. And the DNA acceleration codes represent the 12 electrical overtone frequencies contained in one dimensional band. The electrical overtone frequency of a dimension corresponds to a magnetic base tone frequency of that dimension's antiparticle counterpart in the parallel universe. The 24 seed codes of one DNA strand serve to set the body's particle and antiparticle content into the dimensional band corresponding to that DNA strand, and in both the particle and antiparticle universe. Each set of base codes and acceleration codes in one DNA strand is controlled by one seed crystal seal, which serves to keep the particle base codes and the antiparticle acceleration codes of the DNA strands separate, thereby maintaining the body's particle base within the pulsation rhythms of the dimension. Release of the seed crystal seal allows the base codes and the acceleration codes in the DNA to fuse or plug into each other and accelerate in a pulsation rhythm. This allows the body's particle and antiparticle base in that dimension to fuse and accelerate in a pulsation rhythm. The fusion of DNA base codes and acceleration codes causes minute crystalline structures to manifest within the molecular structure of the blood, which prepares the body biochemical, cellular, hormonal, and metabolic system for acceleration of particle rhythm and transmutation. Dimensional particle rhythm and acceleration causes the star crystal seal between that dimension and the dimension above to release. Release of a star crystal seal activates a dormant genetic time code or fire code within the two DNA strands corresponding to that star crystal seal. Star crystal seals. Minute crystalline frequency seals between chakras and auric fields levels within the 15-dimensional bioenergetic human body. They keep particles and antiparticles from one-dimensional bands separate from those in dimensional bands above and below. Each star crystal seal corresponds to and is composed of the frequency band from the dimension above, from the dimension below the star crystal seal. The star crystal seal directs the interaction between the two DNA strands that correspond to the dimension above and below the star crystal seal. One star crystal seal separates the particles and antiparticles, and in one dimension from the particles and antiparticles in the dimension above. Another separates the particles and antiparticles in the dimension from those in the dimension below. The star crystal seals keep the particle fields of the three-dimensional body and multidimensional consciousness separate from controlling the angular rotation of a particle spin between the 15th dimensions. The separation of particle fields into the three-dimensional groupings, which the star crystal seals create, keeps the particle content of the body locked into the three-dimensional field of one harmonic universe. The star crystal seals control the angle at which the personal dimensional Merkaba fields will rotate, and thus also control the body's relation to the harmonic Merkaba fields, the three-dimensional Merkaba fields of one harmonic universe. I'm going to interrupt because if you don't know what a harmonic universe is, so Earth, this construct of Earth, the realms we're in the first harmonic universe is dimension density 1, 2, and 3. So that's one harmonic. The release of a star crystal seal allows the personal dimensional Merkaba fields to align on a vertical axis with the harmonic Merkaba field, which causes the harmonic Merkaba field rotation to accelerate, aligning it with the Merkaba fields of a three-dimensional harmonic universe. And mind you guys, we have, there's 5 harmonic universes. Release of the star crystal seal also allows the particles and antiparticles in one three-dimensional field to merge, fuse, transmute into the dimensional bands of the harmonic universe above, so each harmonic universe above. As a star crystal seal releases, a dormant DNA code called a genetic time code or a fire code activates within the two DNA strands corresponding to the star crystal seal. Star crystal seals are considered vertical seals, as they control the vertical movement of a frequency band, light spectra, and particles between dimensions. There are 9 star crystal seals located within the structure of the human body, and there's 6 within the multidimensional bioenergetic body, which is outside of the physical structure. or a total of 15 star crystal seals within the design of a multidimensional human anatomy. So this is also leads me to talk about real quick about the 15-dimensional time matrix of the 12 tree grid, which is also called the Cathara grid. This is what they're talking about. They're talking about how we are able to go interdimensional from within. I'll give you an example. When someone has a near-death experience, I don't know if you've ever watched a video on near-death experiences, but when someone does, a lot of times they feel this. They can see their bodies from above. Number one, which would be considered, an auric or a astral at an astral plane level, and they have seen lights and they feel an copious amounts of love. Now, that is because we can go interdimensional within our own body, which is called the Cathara grid. And this is what it's explaining is when we release these seals, we can go to different bandwidths and we can do interdimensional travel and the once the crystal seals are released, and also outside of our body as well. And this is where it gets you into Stargate. So I'm going to continue on. DNA fire codes, activation codes. Units of minute crystalline frequency within the dimensional morphogenetic imprint for the DNA that links DNA strands together and allow for cellular transmutation, teleportation, time travel, dimensional ascension to take place. Also referred to as codes of transmutation or genetic time codes. One DNA fire code corresponds to each star crystal seal. Each DNA strand contains half of the fire code that corresponds to the star crystal seal from the dimensional bands above the dimensional band to which the DNA strand corresponds to. It also contains half of the fire code corresponding to the star crystal seal from the dimensional band below the corresponding to the strand. The DNA fire codes allow one DNA strand to plug into and fuse with another. When DNA strands fuse, the base codes and acceleration codes of one strand merge with those of the strand above, fusing particles and antiparticles between the dimensional bands. This allows the three-particle base of a three-dimensional human body to merge, the separation between them dissolving. When the three-dimensional particle bases of a body in one harmonic universe merge, the particles and antiparticles are able to rapidly accelerate pulsation rhythm and turn into light waves and transmute into dimensional bands of the harmonic universe above. I'm going to repeat that. When the three-dimensional particle base of a body in one harmonic universe merge, the particles and antiparticles are able to rapidly accelerate pulsation rhythm, turn into a light wave, and transmute into the dimensional band of the harmonic universe above. The fire codes activate when their corresponding star crystal seals release. Once activated, the fire codes rapidly accelerate the assembly and activation of the base codes and acceleration codes of the strand to which the fire code is attached. The seed crystal seal in the next chakra up then releases, and particles and antiparticles within the dimensional band corresponding to that seed crystal seal fuse, activating the next star crystal seal. And when the fire code activates, the blood crystals formed by the release of successive seed crystal seals merge, forming complex blood crystal structures which carry the frequency patterns of 3 dimensions. The 3-dimensional blood crystal trigger further biochemical, cellular, hormonal, and metabolic acceleration. This biological acceleration allows the body to raise the rhythm of a particle pulsation and shift angular rotations of a particle spin. The 3 smaller dimensional Merkaba fields of the body merge and open into the harmonic Merkaba field, which then merges with the harmonic Merkaba field of the harmonic universe above. The body cells accelerate, transmute into light, then re-manifest within the three-dimensional field of the harmonic universe above. There are 12 fire codes dormant within the original human 12-strand DNA imprint, each corresponding to one of the 12 star crystals. 12 fire codes are collectively referred to as a silicate matrix or crystal gene of transmutation. The fire codes break down through distortion in the DNA seed codes and become dysfunctional until the DNA seed codes are realigned. The star crystal seals of the bioenergetic body cannot release unless the silicate matrix is operational. DNA mutations and the ascension cycle. Prior to mutations of the human genetic code, the process of seed crystal seal, star crystal seal, and fire code activation happened automatically as a natural part of biological evolution process. As the morphogenetic field drew in frequency from the dimensional unified fields, progressively assembling those frequencies into the DNA imprint and then activating the imprint through manifesting a corresponding DNA strand, the seed crystal seals would naturally release. Then the natural star crystal seal would release and the DNA fire code would activate, progressively transmuting the cellular structure into a less dense state of matter. The body systems were under conscious control, and the immortal human could choose desired time and space placement by consciously altering the personal Merkaba fields, bioenergetic structure, and particle pulsation rhythm. Presently, these processes do not operate as they were intended to do due to various DNA strand distortions and mutations. The coming ascension period of 2012 through 2017 offers humanity a rare opportunity to rapidly reverse mutate these genetic distortions, realign the DNA imprint with its original 12-strand pattern, and accelerate the evolution of biology and consciousness by thousands of years. Humans who do not make the shift to the bridge zone Earth will not have this opportunity again. For the stellar Merkaba spirals do not fully align with the Merkaba fields of a descending planet. The DNA of humans on a descending phantom Earth will undergo another mutation. The DNA will be unable to assemble beyond the third strand, and portions of the fourth strand that have begun to assemble will dismantle and deactivate. And I'm going to make a side note, and I believe, and of course I don't have proof, but I believe this is because of the mutation of the injection that's been given out. I'll carry on here. The DNA will be unable to assemble beyond the third strand portion of the fourth strand that had begun to assemble will dismantle and deactivate. This genetic mutation can be remedied only through a host matrix transplant, through which a soul matrix from Harmonic Universe 2 allows the Harmonic Universe 1 incarnate to energetically, genetically braid into its soul matrix morphogenetic field. Individuals of Phantom Earth who do not have a host matrix transplant will find their genetic codes, bodies, and consciousness deteriorating over several generations until the ability to reproduce is lost. Cloning tactics further reduce the genetic imprint and ultimately will not preserve the species. This is precisely the condition that occurred within the Zeta race strains. Due to the stellar spiral alignments, stellar activations, and stellar wave infusions of the ascension period, the process of cellular transmutation can be briefly called into action. This will allow for self-generated bio and genetically induced transmutative evacuation from Phantom Earth to take place. For those who participate in the stellar activation process, the DNA strand mutations will be cleared from the race morphogenetic field of the sphere of Amenti, and the corrected imprint will be transmitted through Earth's grid into the bioenergetic field of humans who have prepared their systems to receive these energies. And this is why I teach this and make videos so people can bring in their 12D shielding in my video. And there is a meditation video I made on my channels. Also, the sphere of Amenti. There's a video of the sphere of Amenti too, so you can learn about that. I'm going to continue. The frequencies carried on the stellar spirals can then create activations and release of the star crystal seals, which will allow the seed crystal seals to open and the DNA fire codes to activate. Through the star crystal seal activation process, the particle pulsation rhythm of the body and consciousness can be accelerated and the DNA rapidly assembled and activated. So the individuals may shift into the bridge zone, watch my video on bridge zone, or to Terran time cycles. What Terran is we came from Terra. So there was a cataclysm called the fall of man, and that was in harmonic universe 2, dimension density 4, 5, and 6. This is billions of years ago. There was a cataclysm, and a portion of Terra fell, a harmonic universe. And that portion is called the Milky Way galaxy. Each of the upcoming 6 transmutative stellar activations will allow various star crystal seals to release and DNA strands to activate. A minimum of 1.5 stellar activations must occur for an individual to successfully shift into the bridge zone. And those that don't make the shift will end up in the Phantom Earth, which is D3 time cycle after 2017. Mind you, this book was written, I believe, in 2002. Reincarnation out of harmonic universe 1 will require a host matrix transplant. So I'm going to skip a portion here, and then the frequencies from the stellar spirals are drawn into your body via the higher dimensional chakras. The chakra centers located outside of the body that are primarily dormant at this time do not transmit frequencies directly into the lower body, into the body chakras. By intention, you can use the stellar spiral frequencies to activate these higher chakra centers and then draw energy from the spirals through the activated chakras into the lower chakras and the appropriate star cycle seal. What stellar spirals carry what frequency, and when the spirals align with Earth, making those frequencies available. Where your higher and lower chakras and star crystals are located, what frequencies each chakra can draw in, and how the chakras correspond to the star crystal seals you need to activate. The in-body chakras 1 through 7 corresponds to the frequency band and dimensions 1 through 7. The higher dimensional chakras that correspond to dimensions 9 through 15 are the morphogenetic chakras. As they are opening, they draw in energy from the morphogenetic fields of dimension 1 through 7, which are corresponding located in dimensions 9 through 14. The lower dimensions and chakras are linked to the higher dimensions and morphogenetic chakras through the metagalactic core at D8. And the 8th chakra, the activated 8th chakra, allows you to draw frequency from the morphogenetic chakra down into the lower chakra centers. To activate certain star crystal seals, you will open the morphogenetic chakra that corresponds to the lower chakra with which that seal is associated, then draw frequency from the morphogenetic chakra into the star crystal. It's not difficult to do once you start to understand and the correspondence between the lower chakras and their star crystal seals and the morphogenetic chakras. Stargates and the time portal and dimensional lock system. Stargates and portals are pairs of interconnected counter-rotating electromagnetic field spirals that naturally exist within suns and planetary bodies. They form at fixed points of space
within the 5 density universes of the 15-dimensional time matrix, where time cycles and time continua repeatedly pass through each other at fixed intervals. Stargates and portals exist as black and white hole pairs that are connected at the center point by a scalar frequency seed crystal seal. When the center seed seal releases, the stargate or portal activates, and the pair of the counter-rotating electromagnetic spirals merge to form an interdimensional Merkaba field, which allows for instantaneous passage between various space-time coordinates through shift of atomic angular rotation of particle spins. Vertical axis spirals from the stargates of the dimensional lock system. Stargates permit passage between space-time locations in multiple universes and density levels. Stargates enter planets at 12 planetary signet star gate sites. When stargates and portals activate, the counter-rotating electromagnetic spiral of the black-white hole pair merge to form a Merkaba field. Its center becomes a form-constant sphere-wave-filled still point that links various space-time locations together to create a trans-time bridge. Matter that has a sufficient number of fire letter sequences, precisely ordered mathematical standard scalar wave programs in the core manifestation template or DNA template has the flexibility to undergo atomic transmutation for Stargate portal passage. Passage occurs as contact with portal or Stargate frequencies activate the organic Merkaba vehicle of the form. Activated Merkaba vehicle shifts the angular rotation of particle spins, which is called ARPs. The angle of the axis upon which subatomic particles rotate, and particle pulsation rhythm, the vibration oscillation rates of particles, atoms, and units of consciousness of the matter form to match that the portal or stargate, allowing the smaller form to acquire electromagnetic co-resonance with the stargate portal frequency for passage into the form constant trans-time bridge of the stargate or portal. In the 15 chakra and 15 star crystal seals anatomical placement chart, I'm going to read a little bit about that. So there's 7 primary chakras, and if you look at this chart, you're going to start in the middle, near the pelvis area. That's the base. That's C1 base. And then it goes up to C2, which is the sacral. Then C3, solar plexus. And then C4, heart chakra. And then the throat chakra. And then the third eye chakra. And then at 7 is the crown pineal. So it's the third eye is pituitary. And then if you go up higher, past your crown chakra, you're getting into 9, 10, 11, and 14 is that the high one, and then S12 is the deep space, and each one correlates to a color. As in the beginning of the video, it keeps talking about how it correlates to a frequency band, a morphogenetic field. Then if you look below the feet, you're going to hit the MC12, and then below that's MC13, inner earth. And then you have MC15 and then S13, deep space. When you do your Maharic shield, the 12D current that you run through your body for activation and energy protection, you're working with the chakra right below your feet, which is MC12. And then you're working also with inner earth, which is 13. And you're also working with the higher chakra, which is above the head, 32 to 36 inches above the head, which is 14. And I'm going to read about this chart so you can have an understanding. Star crystal seals keep human morphogenetic fields and identity dimensionally separated by controlling the angle of the dimensional Merkaba field's axis in relation to the universal Merkaba fields.
It regulates in the angular rotation of particle spins between dimensions and corresponds to fire code activation codes between DNA strands. The 3 universal Merkaba fields link the 12-dimensional human morphogenetic field to the planetary, galactic, and universal morphogenetic field, which is a universal Merkaba, which is the 14th chakra above the head, and then 15th also, which is below inner earth. And then you have the galactic Merkaba, which is 11, and that is 18 inches above the head. And then you have the 13th chakra, which is the planetary Merkaba, and then that's at 10 and 12. So 10 is right about 6 inches above the head, and 12 is 6 inches below the feet. The energy flow between 8 and 15 draws energy from the universal unified field and dimensional unified field from 8 through 15. So through the universal Merkaba fields and into the 8 outer auric levels via the morphogenetic seed crystal seals. So through 8 through 15 and 1 through 7 draws energy from the dimensional unified fields, and 1 through 7 goes from corresponding 8 through 15 chakra fields. And in the 7 inner auric levels via seed crystal seals in 1 through 7, and 1 through 7 is in your body. And so once the seed crystals and the tonal pattern of the incoming energy manifests it in the DNA blueprint enters the dimensional Merkaba fields and dimensional auric capsules of the body. The energy is then drawn into the lower seas in the natal capsule, and the natus channels links to the nervous system. And energy passes through the nervous system into the endocrine system, blood, cellular structure, and manifest form. And biological form is created and sustained through this continual process of energy flow from the multidimensional unified fields. And this is why I wanted to go over this, so you know about the chakras and the crystal seals, is because I work with chakras. And this is why it's so important to open your chakra to activate crystal seals. Thank you very much for joining me this evening, and I hope you enjoyed the video.